everybody, and welcome to the Coltrane Conservatory of the Arts Talk Show. As you can see to my left, my name is Joe Pace III, and I will be your host here for the next 25 minutes or so. We want to just introduce, we have a guest with us on today, Mr. Howard Wright, who is the Executive Director of Sankofa Restoration Project. And so we're going to be talking together. Sit up straight. We're going to be talking together a little bit having to do with certain things that are in the news, as well as talking to you a bit about what we do at the Coltrane Conservatory of the Arts. Now remember that we are a music school first, you know. We do have a recording studio, along with we provide bands for hire. So if you need a jazz band, if you need a R&B band, if you need a blues band, give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to provide that event with the music that we play. Now, I want to just start off by saying some of you trying to get to where you want to play an instrument, and we are there for you just for that, as our music school provides music and a number of different training instruments, especially when it comes down to saxophone, drums, piano, and a number of other instruments. But I'm going to just let you get an idea. I want you to take a look at this brochure there. You can see it on your monitor there, and it will kind of give you an idea of what we do over there. And I'd like for you to call us if you're interested. If you have children, grandchildren, or maybe even you would like to get involved with learning how to play an instrument, we would be more than happy to break the programs down to you and make it plain so that you can learn how to do the things that you've been trying to get done for so many years. You've been putting this off, and it's now time to go ahead and do it. You know, you may have a piano at home that you have been collecting dust for the last 10, 20, and sometimes even 30 years. And you want to dust that thing off and polish it up and get on over there, and we'll teach you how to play it. Some of you have old instruments around the house, guitars and things of that nature, and you want to learn how to play those. So what I want you to do is give us a call. You can call us here, or you can call us at our facility, which is 773-891-1875. Learn how to play the piano, learn how to play the saxophone, learn how to play the drum set. And you know, when you learn how to play these instruments, it gives you a certain amount of pride to know that you have developed yourself on this earth to where you can do something that many other people cannot do. There's a lot of pride involved in something like that, you know. So, and everybody should be good at something. You know, there should not be a human being on this earth who's not good at something. And keep in mind, too, that everybody on this earth has a mission. And your mission is done in I believe that everybody's mission is to become happy. That's my personal belief. And you become happy by treating other people well, by working hard. Somebody said that one of the most sinful things that a human being can get involved with is laziness. And I thought about that, because it says laziness is given to us by the negative forces on this earth, because they know that if I can keep this individual lazy long enough, I'm going to destroy him. And this is unfortunate, and it's really not funny. Let me just stop for a minute. But I had to laugh about that because so many people don't understand why they're not moving ahead, and there's just so much laziness going on. All right, now we're going to get right into our subject. I want to talk a bit about the things that are happening in this world. And I'm going to, first of all, I'd like to, for Howard to get into a sort of an opening statement. And Howard, I'd like for you to just open up any way that you'd like to open up on this evening.
Okay. First of all, Joe, I'd like to thank you for
it is my pleasure.
Me to
it is my pleasure
to the program. Secondly, I'd like to compliment you for the work that you've done in the community with the instruments, which drew me to your conservatory in the first place. That being said, I'd like to just make a mention about what the Sankofa Restoration Project and what we do. Sankofa Restoration Project was a project we started in 1991. And it surrounded the issue of a African burial ground, and which was in New York City and was the largest African burial ground ever unearthed in America. And during that time, there was a struggle. I won't get into the whole thing, but there was a struggle that took place, and I became one of the leading persons in it, eventually testifying before Congress and being appointed by Congress to oversee to be one of the people to oversee the board, which we created a national landmark, which is in New York right now. If you ever get a chance to go to New York, visit the African burial ground. It's a wonderful monument, and it came out the struggle of the community and do it.
Well,
so that's how we started.
Let me just jump in and say that I've visited that area before in New York, and in fact, my first cousin Lorenzo Pace has a sculpture there that he put up. He was commissioned to put up. So I'm well familiar with that area in New York.
Okay. And I want to let you know that I happen to have been the chairman of the committee, the Art and Architecture Committee, that actually approved all the monuments that are in that national, with the exception of your cousin, because he came later.
I think we talked about that.
He came later. And so that's how we started out. We since evolved. We were in New York City, and we eventually went to South Carolina to export the whole idea of preserving cemeteries and the cultures, the rich culture of the people from the South, African Americans. Following that, we developed a genealogical component to our project, and right now we happen to be the largest genealogical project in the United States referencing black families.
Okay.
We have the largest records of anybody. We have the most accurate record of anybody. As a matter of fact, Ancestry.com and some of the other people, they send us records to be corrected. That's because when you look at the histories of most of these people in the United States, the most neglected people are people from African descent. It's the records in which they tend to the least. So we specialized in putting together all the efforts necessary to do it, and as a matter of fact, we developed software now to help people actually get back to the slave ships that they came from. And we know that it sounds a little crazy when you hear that, because most people don't see records past 1860. However, we've been at this for about 50 years now, and we've developed the techniques to do it. Okay. So that's briefly what we do. We do other things, but but basically those are the main.
Now let me just say that we're not able to take your phone calls on today. So if you've called, there are some technical difficulties going on here at the station, and we will not be able to take any phone calls. But we want to jump from
well, I'll be able to give them the telephone number for the Sankofa Project. So in case anybody,
please,
it's 773-536-6136.
Okay.
And
again?
773-536-6136, in case anybody wants to know anything about their genealogical history or those kinds of things. So
okay, all right, and you can give a call, and Howard will give you more information on these very important things. Now, I want to get into some things here with these next few minutes having to do with current issues. As many of you know, that our president, first thing about it, is doing something with DACA. That's the Dreamers program, whereby individuals are being held responsible for what their parents did in bringing them to this country as children. And I think what he's done is pass it on to the Congress by saying, okay, I'm going to give it to you guys, and you do something with it within 6 months, and if you don't, then I'll take it back over. In the meantime, these dreamers have been, you might say, hung out to dry for the time being. So we have that subject that we're talking about. In addition to that, let me just first, before we go any further, Howard, what do you think about that?
Well, you know, when you look at the history of what happened, particularly with DACA or the immigration movement in the United States, you have to understand exactly what's going on. First of all, the whole move to bring immigrants into the country, brown and dark, you know, other than African Americans that are already here, was to actually displace the African American population, which were they considered too expensive as they went on, and so the whole idea of bringing people in, Mexicans and other people, were to help to undermine the fact that they had to deal with the issues, the economic issues that black people were bringing up. That being said, the people were here. They came. They sought economic opportunity, and just like anybody who wants to support their family would. Now, in terms of the illegal aspect of it,
Keep in mind that these individuals have been were brought here by their parents. Their parents came here illegally, and they were also illegal in that they were brought here without a legal status or some legal documentation to get here. So they are, by virtue of that, illegal to the extent that they were not brought here. They were not brought here by some sort of legal decree. Now,
but you know, one of the things, Joe.
Here's my question. Now, does that mean that these youngsters, these children, many of them 3, 4, 5 years old, some of them not even born, from what I understand, still in their mother's bellies, does this mean that is it moral, amoral, or whatever to bring these people back?
Okay, let's talk about the immigration policies in the United States and its history.
Well, I don't know if we're going to have long enough for that, but I want you to hit it. No, let me say, we have several other things, so I don't know if we can go back that far and then come up. Go ahead.
But I was just going to make mention that when you're born in the United States, you're a citizen. There's, you know, and there is no debate about that. I don't care whether you were born of illegal immigrants.
That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
So when you talk about trying to make a reassessment of the immigration policy based on the fact that you are frightened of the changing terrain of America, is a crime against humanity. And what we need to focus on is those specific issues that are handling the legal status of people, as well as those people who are seeking to become legally a citizen of the United States.
But right now we have 800,000 individuals who are here, who are brought here illegally by their parents. And the question is whether or not it is a good thing to send them back or leave them here in this country, the only country that they know. Now, I believe that it's a good thing to leave them here. I believe that these are productive citizens, and most of these people, from what I understand, very productive. They're in schools, they're in corporate America, they have their own businesses, and so to send them back to Mexico, a country that, well, not just Mexico, but other countries, to send them back to their so-called native countries, this, I believe, is a mistake by this government, and I really believe that in the end, somehow we're going to be able to work this out to where these people who know nothing about any country but this one, who have lived in this country all their lives, who consider themselves as Americans, will be able to stay here. Now, that's my twist on it. Well, we're going to move on to something else.
But there are two things that we need to talk about.
If we have time, I tell you, I think we need to move on because
Okay.
you've given your take on that by going back and saying that we should be dealing with some other things. But now here's the thing: we have also an opportunity to deal with at this particular time. We know what happened down in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like last week, I told you folks that we need to be praying for our fellow citizens. We never know when we're going to be in this situation ourselves, and therefore we need to be our brothers' keepers at this particular time. If nothing more, we got a call from one of our parents today who said that he had gone to Houston, Texas to volunteer himself to work in supporting that disaster and trying to get people back into some normalcy. And so whatever you can do, if you have a donation you can make to some place, some people like to make donations to organizations that are there on the ground, local organizations where they feel all of what they donate, or most of what they donate, is going to go to alleviate some of the disastrous conditions there. And so do that. Go online or whatever way you can. And I'm not just preaching. I'm doing the same thing because it takes all of us as Americans. And when I look at what happened, what we talked about in Charlottesville here a few weeks ago, and we talked about how it is that white nationalists and white supremacists and Ku Klux Klansmen and skinheads and all of these hate groups, we talked about how that is totally unacceptable in this country, and we will stick with that. And so now we see that we see the real Americans, because we see Americans coming to the aid of one another, no matter what color or creed or race they're from. You know, we see Americans, we see the real Americans, those Americans that showed up in Charlottesville the other day. Those are fake Americans. In fact, if I had my way, I would exile every one of them, even the ones who call themselves just supporting it, because they bring a bad reputation onto this country, and they lower the quality of life for everybody, because hate is from some demonic force, from satanic force, you know, and we need to get rid of it, you know, because it's probably the most demonic force on the whole earth. But here tonight we're talking about that. And Howard, did you have anything to say to the people who are there? And also let's not forget Urban, I believe it's called, one that's coming up on the coast of Florida. And we are praying and hoping that it won't hit very hard. But did you have anything, Howard, to say?
First of all, my heart goes out to all of the victims and of this storm and the conditions that came up in Houston and any place else where it happens. I myself was a victim about 5 years ago of a fire, and it destroyed everything I had. All my life's work and other things that I was doing at that time. The Red Cross actually came up, and the Salvation Army actually came up and greatly assisted me in terms of doing it. So I would like to say anybody who wants to help, consider sending money to the Salvation Army or or the Red Cross, because believe me when I tell you from personal experience, I know that they do a great job. And
Well, keep in mind one thing, not to suggest anything other, but as a former social worker for DCFS in the state of Illinois, I do know that there are in some cases, only a fractional amount of money that people give out will go to the actual disaster, while much of it will go to administrative salaries and things of that nature. And I'm trying to get, my thing is I want people to be able, in other words, I don't want 80% of my money being going towards somebody's salary or somebody staying in some big hotel as they fly across town, across the country. I want 20% to go that way and 80% to go to feed and shelter people. And I believe that is something that I think all the people want that to happen. And so that's why I'm suggesting if you want to go to local charities, ones that are on the ground, whether or not they're coming out of some local church or whatnot, and you know that most of your money is going to go for help, and nobody's getting $150,000 a year or $300,000, or some people said up to $1 million with the CEOs and whatnot of some of these organizations. I'm not for that. Like I said, in having a social worker background, I have heard these stories. Now, let me say this right here. For these last few minutes, we've had a lot of talk about things that are going on with Mr. Donald Trump and the things that are happening surrounding this scandal, so to speak, that came out of Russia with respect to Mr. Trump, and there being some collusion on the part of the election. So what do you think about that? What are your opinions? And we got about a minute to talk about that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, we are now living in a day and age with a president who has absolutely no understanding of the Constitution or the elements of the job that he steps in. He's running the situation as if he's still running Trump Towers. And that's a shame. Unfortunately, we're
on Twitter.
Unfortunately, we're stuck with him for 4 years.
Tweeting on Twitter.
Unfortunately, we're stuck with him for 4 years, and our approach to the thing is that we should organize everywhere around the country in a way that will unseat the forces that helped him get in office, and also drain the swamp. We'll use his term, drain the swamp, but help him too, of all the elements that that help to bring his kind into office, because his kind also comes with the alt-right and these racists that Joe was just talking about, and so forth. So Barack Obama used to have a great expression. He used to say, when people would boo, 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 he'd say, "Don't boo, vote." And we say, don't gripe, get on the ground and organize. And that's one of the things, that's one of the initiatives that we are taking on as the Sankofa Restoration Project this year. It's called Drain the Swamp Initiative. And
Okay.
that being said,
Now,
that's our approach to handling Donald
Okay,
Trump.
then well, last question. Do you think that he's going to last for 4 years?
I hope he is.
Huh?
I hope he is. And I tell
You
you
hope
why.
he is?
Yes, I hope he is. I tell you why. Because, to be honest to speaking, his vice president is actually more dangerous than him.
Well, that's a whole other story.
And second of all, I just wanted to tell you the reason why I said I hope he is. Because he is actually a lightning rod for the organizational tools that we need to unseat the forces that put him in office. And as long as he's there, if he's there for the 4 years, we have something that we can organize around in terms of being able to take him out.
All right. Okay, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Howard Wright, who was with us, and we thank you for those opinions. I get the feeling that a lot of people may disagree with you that anybody could be any more dangerous than Trump. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on next week. Thank you very much for tuning in with us bless you, and goodbye.